going on, Flock? Happy Thursday evening. It is 5:04 Eastern on the 10th of October. Week 6 of the NFL season is what we're working our way towards. The Ravens and Commanders will battle it out, of course, for Maryland. Technically, the Commanders play in Landover. So this is a battle of the Beltway, battle for Maryland, battle for DMV rights. I know a lot of you feel like Baltimore is not a part of the DMV. That's neither here nor there. Welcome inside the channel. I'm glad you're here. As always, I'm bobtrosset. This is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond. And today's live stream is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. Learn more about them, figure out your incentive, get your home buying process started by clicking on that link that I have included pinned in the live chat. Lots to discuss. I got a jam-packed show for you over the next hour or so. One, Bill Belichick, former Patriots coach, of course, now making his way around, making his media rounds slowly but surely, doing a number of different things, one of which is a panelist on Inside the NFL, a weekly chat with Ryan Clark, Ocho Cinco, and Chris Long. And he took a little playful shot at the Ravens defense, kind of embarrassed him a little bit with a very subtle comment. Out of that, we'll take a look at the defense by the numbers through 5 weeks. We'll take a look at the Dean Pease edition, former Ravens defensive coordinator, who's going to be a senior advisor to Zach. We'll take a look at what Roquan Smith had to say about Jayden Daniels. We'll also look at the NFL legendary analyst, Greg Cosell, who was absolutely blown away by Lamar's performance last weekend and had some great things to say. We'll also take a look at Todd Monken's success by the numbers, red zone efficiency, what Cliff Kingsbury had to say about Todd. He's now the OC in Washington, by the way, the former Cardinals head coach in Arizona, and Todd's classic reaction to Lamar's iconic stiff arm that we will be watching inevitably for years and years and years to come from last weekend against Sam Hubbard. And Rich Eisen, NFL commentator, I thought he snubbed the Ravens in his weekly power ranking. So all that and more is what I have coming up. Let's begin with what Coach Belichick said on Inside the NFL yesterday after watching that Ravens defensive performance in a winning effort Sunday in Cincinnati.
A lot of trouble stopping the Cincinnati passing game, and it seemed like every time they handed the ball off, I think I saw the Ravens bench cheering.
Hey, absolutely, we ain't got to cover Jamar and T.
Mm-hmm. You heard it right there, right? I think I saw the Ravens bench cheering. The full quote, it seemed like every time they handed the ball off, meaning Cincinnati, rather than throwing, I think I saw the Ravens bench cheering. Bill actually wasn't there, and Bill didn't actually see that. He's just poking a little bit of fun, taking a little subtle shot at what this Ravens defense has been or hasn't been in terms of what we expect around these parts, the standard, right? They have not been up to their standard, up to their personal expectations, external expectations, and everything. And I'm with you. I have Horace Torres, Mr. Texas. It is a fair comment because you want to know what it is? It's the hard truth about this defense, which has been far too inconsistent so far through 5 weeks, sort of mirroring 2 years ago and Mike McDonald's group, right? That kind of stubbed its foot a couple times, stubbed its toe a few times out of the gate in his first year as DC back again 2 years ago in the fall of 2022. That team also started 3-2. That team also had some issues on the back end. And while John Harbaugh referred to it as 5 or 6 plays that guys would want back, 5 or 6 plays help decide games. And I think we all perfectly understand that about football. All right, let's take a look at a couple different things. One, and this is the hard stuff right here, but we got to do it. Here's where the Ravens defense ranks through 5 weeks, entering Commanders weekend. Total defense, 19th overall. Rush defense, they're first. Think about that. They're the first ranked rush defense. 60.4 per game on the ground. On the pass defense side, could not be more polar opposite. Second to last, 31st overall. They're allowing 280.2 yards per game on average. That is bad. That's just not going to cut it. It's un-Raven-like, and that is literally not just the bottom corridor of the league. You are second to last of 32 NFL teams. They're 26th in terms of points per game allowed at 25.2. They're 21st when it comes to third down defense percentage, 42.6. Fourth down, they're 7th. Red zone defense, they're 25th, 66.7% of the time. They're allowing a touchdown. It's just not good enough. Look at where they rank to sort of compound all of that. They're 30th right now in penalty yards with 378 of them. 31st in penalties. 11th in turnover margin. That's fine. Above average. But these are the rankings that are a tough pill to swallow, but this is the reality. And I think this is probably why Zach Orr was faced with a decision to bring in the OG. And that's exactly what he decided to do this week. Footage of Dean Pease and Zach yesterday at one winning drive, courtesy of my old colleague Morgan Adsit and Fox 45 here locally. Dean is 75 now. He served as the defensive coordinator in Baltimore from 2012 to 2017, some of which was when Zach was a player. And look, I think these guys have a tremendous amount of respect for one another. Most importantly, I think Zach has a certain level of self-awareness. I keep wondering, is he 32 or 33? Let's just see on the fly here. Zach's 32. Unbelievable. Zach Orr is 32. He will be 33 in June of 2025. So one of the youngest, if not the youngest, defensive coordinators across the league. The Ravens knew that, obviously, when they hired him. A lot of talent from a personnel standpoint left the building, as we've well documented by now. But I appreciate the self-awareness. I appreciate the humility and the understanding that, hey, I got to call for help here. And what better way than to bring in one of the most experienced, even though he just he's been in retirement, but that does not change Dean Pease. And forget about how his tenure ended in Baltimore. I know a lot of you have pointed that out. I think the focus should more be about how does this alleviate the burden, right? This learning curve that Zach Orr is trying to tackle right now. And that, to me, is the most encouraging part of this. So I commend Zach. You can only hope that this adjustment, this move, leads to immediate results, but the jury's still out on that. And my, oh my, though, it's coming. And look who's coming to town on Sunday. It ain't getting any easier, and that's exactly what Zach Orr told the media a short while ago at one winning drive. The question was essentially, do you feel like you're out of the woods here now that the gauntlet of star quarterback after star quarterback, Mahomes, Burrow, Prescott, Minshew, just kidding. All due respect to Gardner Minshew. He just got benched in Vegas for Aiden O'Connell, but he did come into Baltimore for a second consecutive year with a new team and spoil a home game. In this case, it was the season opener. There's just been Josh Allen. It's been a murderer's row beginning, but it isn't getting any easier, and Zach certainly admitted that himself. Jayden Daniels right now leads the league in EPA. That is a measurement that charts efficiency. And look at what this guy's doing. Yeah, he's a rookie. Hopefully the Ravens aren't treating him as such, even though they've had a lot of success under the John Harbaugh era when it comes to facing rookies for the first time. But in 5 games played, all of which have been games started, Jayden Daniels, 101 completions on 131 attempts, over 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, a passer rating of 106.3, 8.7 yards per attempt, a completion percentage of 77.1, some other numbers in there as well that leads to a plus 57.4 EPA. He is efficient. He is explosive. He is a refined passer. He's somebody who can use his legs. And right now, through 5 weeks, EPA-wise, this guy leads the list. Josh Allen, 2. Joe Burrow, 3. Brock Purdy, 4. Lamar is 5. Kirk Cousins, 6. Look at Joe Flacco cracking the top 10. Good for you, Joe. Derek Carr, 8. CJ Stroud, 9. Baker Mayfield, 10. Mahomes is actually outside the top 10, which gives you an idea of just how pedestrian it's been so far offensively, yet they're 5-0, so joke's on all of us. and Jared Goff rounding out the top 12 at 12. Here's Roquan Smith, courtesy of Bowie TV, talking Jayden Daniels.
We give things that a lot of other teams don't really give throughout the league in the sense of our disguises, coverages, and just the way we play the game of football. So it'll definitely be something new, and he definitely hasn't seen a defense like ours this season. So we just got to come out clicking on our cylinders, and when we do that, we'll be at our best.
He definitely hasn't seen a defense like ours. We've already had a little bit of fun with Rowe's comments there. He's sticking to his guns, and I appreciate it, even though the defense has been atrocious on the back end, and that's probably putting it mildly. Here's what I do know, including the playoffs, the Ravens have a 26-7 record against rookie quarterbacks during the John Harbaugh era, which, of course, began in 2008. So, and that includes last year when they absolutely roughed up Dorian Thompson-Robinson in his first career start against the Cleveland Browns. So, can Jayden Daniels break that trend? Look, I don't know. The guy's poised. He's obviously dual threat. He's got an experienced group around him led by Cliff Kingsbury, their offensive coordinator, who's got head coach experience in both the NFL and down in the college ranks as well. You've got weapons around you, including Terry McLaurin. It's a veteran group, even though Jayden is young as all hell, and they have other young pieces as well that are being asked to do quite a bit contributor-wise. But the reality is look, you can't come in to this game in week 6 coming off sort of the high-flying instant classic that was Sunday in Cincinnati and not be time on task, because the Commanders have shown you, as they are the highest scoring team in the entire league through 5 weeks, that they can hang. They can put up points. Their defense has its own issues. I showed that statistic earlier on, and I'll just show you once again. Let's go big screen just to tell you where some of the holes are, right, for where the Ravens might be able to cash in, especially with what they do well on the ground. It's a 22nd ranked rush defense for Washington. They allow 130 yards per game on the ground, 14th overall in total defense. In the pass, 13th, they're allowing 198 yards per game through the air. So 25th, and there's only, I was going to say 25th and fourth down defense, but I'm not going to read into that too much. Red zone defense, that's an area where the Ravens might match up well with, and I'll get to that in just a second, because Todd Monken's group has been really, really sensational inside the 20s. But Washington's red zone defense, in terms of touchdown percentage, 68.8, that ranks 29th league-wide. So some opportunities there, not only on the ground, but also inside the 20, where Todd Monken and company have been really, really efficient and successful. And we're going to turn that page in just a second. But before we do, as I mentioned off the top, this episode is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. And as you see in the live chat, got a good incentive going right now through my partner at PRMI for my subscribers, for you, for the Bobby Baltimore subscriber. And if you haven't heard already, rates are dropping. This could mean big savings for your mortgage. If you want to get involved in the home buying process to kickstart fall, now's the perfect time to refinance. Lock in a lower rate to reduce your monthly payments. So that's one option. You could also obviously begin your home buying process by just simply filling out an easy and quick application that's included in the live chat. It's a pinned comment. It's also in the show notes below. And as a proud supporter of my channel, Primary Residential Mortgage is going to cover your closing costs up to $750. That is on applications submitted by February 9th of 2025. So this upcoming February 9th to be exact, 2025, they will cover your closing costs up to $750. You can take advantage of this special offer, which is for a limited time, obviously, by just simply applying through the PRMI Mid-Atlantic website. Mention my name throughout your process, and that'll get you going. Appreciate you, Primary, for all the support that you guys give me and for continuing to open up different opportunities pregame-wise, which will be happening the next home game, by the way, the next away game, at Michael's Cafe in Timonium, Maryland. Hope to see you guys there. Next up, from one coordinator to another, and that is Todd Monken. But before we do, oh my goodness, legendary NFL analyst Greg Cosell, who, of course, is the nephew of late legendary broadcaster Howard Cosell for some of my OGs here on the channel, had this to say after analyzing Lamar's performance in Cincinnati. And then that'll be a perfect segue into Monk and what this guy's doing so well right now as the offensive play caller in Baltimore.
Most fun watches this year, okay? And then was watching the Ravens offense versus the Bengals defense, okay? I got to tell you, Lou Anarumo, I thought, and I know the score doesn't reflect this, he worked so hard and did such a great job with so many multiple front looks, multiple coverage looks, disguise, late rotation. He did so many good things, and I thought Lamar Jackson was so good in this game. I mean, Lamar's had many good games in the league, so, I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best game I've ever seen him play. But given what Lou Anarumo did, and like I said, I thought he did really, really good things. I thought Lamar was absolutely fantastic in this game. And it was a joy to watch both sides of the ball for someone like myself watching tape all the time from just a tactical perspective on each side. And the way Lamar Jackson played, it was a joy to watch.
Some high praise there from Greg Cosell on Lamar's performance, which named him the AFC Offensive Player of the Week after Derrick Henry took home last week's honors. Here's Todd Monken on the play of the century, play of Lamar's career. I don't know. You can rank it the way you want to, but when you had to have it, and when it was an errant snap, and when you go to the ground and grabbed it, and then you all of a sudden get flushed from the pocket, and Sam Hubbard is bearing down on you as a defensive end, big body, fierce dude, you stiff arm the all-out hell out of him and fire a bullet as your body is flowing out of bounds to Isaiah Likely, who went up and just mossed it, who went up and grabbed it in the end zone like only Isaiah Likely can in Baltimore. Todd Monken, classic response. Does it get more refreshing than Monk at the podium? I'll let you answer that.
All right, that's the first reaction, because I thought initially we were going to have a touch. I said, we're going to get a good touchdown here, and then didn't realize it was going to take another 15 seconds for that to develop. But I mean, what do you say? What a tremendous play, by an outstanding football player. I can't say anything different than what everybody else has said. What a great play.
That audio courtesy of Jamison Hensley of ESPN.com. And yeah, oh shit is right. He went on to say on the stiff arm on that specific play, quote, I didn't draw up shit. That's what he does. You guys have to essentially make Todd Monken's weekly press conferences appointment viewing. I've had a chance to chat with him in person a couple times, over the phone a couple times, and he is just that way. Just the way he is in front of a camera is the exact same way he is on a phone call in person, outside of the limelight. And he's been such a breath of fresh air. Look, don't get too attached. We had this comment, or at least this segment, earlier in the week when his name came up as an early candidate to potentially fill the New York Jets vacancy if this guy Ulrich, who was promoted as defensive coordinator to head coach when Saleh was fired earlier in the week, if that doesn't end up working out, do not be surprised if that and any other vacancy that comes up, Monken is going to be hearing his name around, because this guy's got this offense humming right now, and they are the talk of the league. Ravens offense ranks number 2, tied with Cleveland, in the NFL in red zone touchdown percentage. I'm shocked that Cleveland's there, by the way, given where they're at right now. In their last 15 red zone trips, the Ravens have scored 14 touchdowns, with the lone exception coming when they opted to kick a game-winning overtime field goal on first down last Sunday against Cincinnati, a 23-yard chip shot for Justin Tucker. Look at what this team's doing right now. That is high efficiency from Todd Monken and company when it matters the most inside the 20. I'm old enough to remember that was their Achilles heel not all that long ago. Finishing inside the 20, not just settling for field goals. And I think Monk and his creativity and his designs and his variety deserve a whole lot of credit. He took plenty of heat earlier in the year about this whole offensive identity thing. And through 5 weeks, even though it's still early, he's got this off. There really aren't that many questions about the offense. Here's where the unit ranks entering week 6. First in total offense. First in rushing offense, 211.2 per game on the ground. 9th in passing offense, great balance. 2nd in points per game, only to Washington. 3rd in third down efficiency and offense. 4th in fourth down offense. And 2nd in red zone offense in terms of touchdown percentage. 75 flat for the last 2. It's just tremendous. As far as the Washington side, 4th in total offense, 2nd in rushing offense, 14th in pass, 1st in points per game, 1st in third down offense, 1st tied fourth down offense, and 15th in red zone offense. I mean, there's some parity here. There's some balance. But as far as Todd's concerned, this guy's got this group working right now. And he's got the opponent, Cliff Kingsbury, a longtime friend of his, singing his praises at the podium.
Reaching out to Todd Monken before you were going to come back into the NFL, kind of what did you take away from your conversation with him that really intrigued you about wanting to come here?
Yeah, I've known him a long time. He took over at Oklahoma State when Dana Holgorsen left there. So I've followed him and just the way he's been able to adapt his personnel and maximize his personnel. He's been successful everywhere he's been. And I was just picking his brain. He's made that transition a couple times from college and back. And just this time around, they had such success last year, running that style with Lamar of offense, what he liked, what he didn't like, what he would have done differently, bringing it in. And so we just had a good conversation. I appreciate him and what he's done there and everywhere else, and just watching it this year with how he's brought Henry in and adapted to that and adjusted the scheme to really maximize who they are this year. It's incredible. I mean, he's one of the best offensive minds in football, and so it'll be a huge challenge for us.
High praise there from Cliff, and I'm sure at the rate he's going, his phone will be ringing after this offseason in terms of vacancies around the NFL, should he want to get back to a head coaching opportunity. So I like Cliff. He's got that place. Look, I actually got my broadcasting career started down in the D.C. area. I worked for NBC Sports Washington for a couple of years, covered the Nats, covered the Wizards, covered the Washington Capitals Stanley Cup run. And one thing that I was really struck by was, and is still to this day, I mean, they're diehard down there. They're absolutely diehard. But they're so diehard, Commanders fans, formerly Redskins fans, that it actually has impressed me that they have maintained such a fan base through all the turmoil, through all the instability, through all the ownership woes. And yet now, with a new ownership group, Magic's in the ownership group, right? You got Cliff as an OC, Dan Quinn as a head coach. You've got Kevin Durant showing up to games again. They've reinvigorated the fan base. And so, yeah, I get it. I get it why there's this infusion of excitement, hope, renewed sense of optimism down south of us for those of you who are in the Baltimore area. I totally get it, and I'm expecting Sunday to be a show. Despite it being a 1 o'clock slate, I'm expecting this one to be heavily viewed throughout the country. It's the A-team for CBS, Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson. And if it lives up to the hype here on paper, are we looking at back-to-back shootouts? Maybe. How about King Henry? That's another piece to Todd Monken's offensive puzzle that he's got working right now. Baltimore owns both of the NFL's number 1 rushing offense and defense. The Ravens have posted a plus 754 rushing yards differential, ranking as the second highest margin by any team through its first 5 games of a season since the 1970 league merger. There's been a few seasons since then. And number 22, make no mistake about it, is off to potentially a career year. Look at where he stands right now among running backs entering week 6. He's first in overall PFF grade, again, Pro Football Focus rankings, with a 90.3 grade. He's first in rushing yards with 571. I've also seen 572, so not sure which one it is. He's second in yards after contact with 318, and he's tied for first in rushing touchdowns with 6. How about rushing yards over on the left since 2020? Yeah, he leads the way, and it's a comfortable margin over Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs. Rushing yards since 2020. He's also on this list as well. Wait a second. What does that say on the left-hand side? I can't even see it. You guys see it? Hold on a second. Does that say YCO? Is he on this list, yards gained after contact? That is insane. In other words, Derrick Henry is superhuman, because on this list, in terms of rushing yards since 2020, he beats Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones in just the simple category of yards after contact. Yeah. That's one of one stuff there from 22. I had no idea that stat existed. Well, I knew it existed, but I didn't realize this was actually a thing. That is a mind-blowing statistic. You guys follow me on that one? 4,723 yards after contact. That's more yards just in general since 2020 that Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones have logged. Oh, my. Wow. I'm absolutely blown away by that statistic. The king, man. That is a true king-like statistic right there. Wow. This, speaking of statistics, Ken McCusick, film study Ravens, friend of the show, great football mind. He put together the missed tackle rates for the season so far to date between Washington and Baltimore. Ravens have an 11.2% missed tackle rate. Commanders have a 14.6% tackle rate. And as he writes, that could be a problem for Washington stopping the Baltimore run game and Derrick Henry in particular. And yeah, I mean, does that not go hand in hand with what we just discussed? The number of yards after contact that this guy's put together. That is literally, I did not know that that was a thing. And I actually can't stop thinking about that statistic. Wow. Damn. But certainly, Alan, I'm with you. That's an advantage they got to capitalize on, right? At that first point of contact, you going to let Derrick Henry get by you and to the second level? Because once he gets to the second level, good night. Hey, something I'm doing new this season for the first time is game recaps for those of you who enjoy the shorter consumption types of habits when you consume your content. Short form, if you will. And how I'm doing this is in the form of 60 to 90 second Instagram reels the second games finish up. I give you my instant reactions and I post them to Twitter and Instagram. It is a new way for me to potentially interact with different people, different fans, just because everybody's different. Not everybody wants to listen to an hour plus long live stream when Sarah and I are diving into it, right? And so for those of you who may enjoy something a little bit different, a little bit shorter, a little bit easier to consume perhaps, find me on Twitter or Instagram at Bobby Baltimore and come hang with me after the game. Should be coming up at around 4:30 or so this weekend, assuming that it doesn't go to overtime like it did last weekend with a 1 o'clock start. So can't wait to see you guys over there. Appreciate you. Rich Eisen, NFL commentator, NFL personality, big fan of his. He does weekly power rankings, and I thought, looking at it objectively, that he snubbed the Ravens based on what they've put on tape, based on who they've beat, based on what they've done over the last 3 weeks in terms of his top 10 power rankings entering week 6. Here's his explanation. I'll show you the full list and the top 10 right afterwards.
6 on the list, no change. Baltimore Ravens are still sitting there at 6. Might be too low for a lot of you folks since the guy on the screen is getting a lot of chatter for yet another MVP season that is forming. Derrick Henry is performing better than any running back through 5 weeks. Certainly in terms of rushing yards over the last 3 weeks, he's been as dominant as he has ever been. I'm putting the Ravens 6th on this list. They were kind of lucky to get through in Cincinnati last week. So that's why I got him at 6.
He's right. They are a little bit lucky because without that botched hold from the holder on Evan McPherson's kick, that operation, had that gone smoothly, Cincy wins that game, right? Cincy improves to 2-3. Ravens would have been a very, very different conversation. They're 3-2 right now. Look, that's been my big thing all week long, right? It's like trying to not allow it to be lost on you that the discussion the last 5 days would have been polar opposite in terms of, and granted, hey, there's still been a lot of discussion, a lot of hard conversations, some harshness, right, with this defense. And we've had those. And we've called out specific problems. And we've looked at the Marcus Williams and the Eddie Jacksons and the Marlon Humphreys and the Nate Wiggins on the back end, right? We've had those conversations. But I think it would have been so much more violent, so much more intense had they lost that game in shootout fashion. So, perspective, a little bit of perspective. I think it's fair to say that they got a little bit of luck. Sometimes you need it. And if it fell in Baltimore's lap, it fell in Baltimore's favor. And so I'm okay with that. But I do still think that Rich snubbed them in terms of not being a top 5 team so far through 5 weeks. Here's his top 10. We'll go 10-1. He's got Dallas at 10. Dallas at 10. He's got Buffalo at 9. He's got Tampa Bay at 8. Atlanta 7. Baltimore 6, as you heard. Washington is 5. Detroit is 4. Houston is 3. Minnesota is 2. And Kansas City is 1. Look, I think the Ravens are a top 5 team. I'm fine with them being outside the top 3. I think they deserve to be somewhere around 4 or 5. I get it. Washington's hot right now. Very hot. And again, they have based on EPA, they have the hottest quarterback in the entire league in rookie Jayden Daniels. But I would think that the Ravens deserve to be in the top 5 here. I'm not saying that there's any pretenders in the top 5. We'll see about that once Washington comes to town on Sunday. I had predicted that Cleveland the week prior and Greg Schwartz, their defensive coordinator, would give Jayden Daniels his first rookie moment. I couldn't have been more wrong. And we'll see if that happens this week. Look, the Ravens defense, hard to predict. Sunday night, the lights are bright, and they absolutely dominate, aside from one iconic Josh Allen play. I think it was to clear Shakir, if I'm not mistaken. And aside from that, Ravens defense was sound on all 3 levels, right? Getting pressure in Josh's face. Kyle Van Noy had a hell of a game. Middle part of the defense was not soft, middle of the field wise. Back end did its job. And it was anything but. It was anything but Sunday in Cincinnati. And again, I don't care if it's only just 5 or 6 plays. That's 5 or 6 game-changing plays. Gutting, gashing plays, right? Jamar Chase finishes with 193 yards through the air. It's just not going to cut it. Where would you guys have him? Duke says, KC must not be lucky that likely doesn't wear an 8.5 shoe, slippery slope. That's the other thing. If not for a toe, if not for Isaiah being a size 10, 11, whatever he is, Ravens are probably 4-1 and easily in the top 3 of this list. If not for coughing up a lead, a 10-point lead to Gardner Minshew and the Vegas Raiders. But all that's in the past. They're a 3-2 football team, very dangerous. And if this defense can start to stack, if this defense can find cohesion, if Zach Orr can implement and give Dean Pease a role in which he can immediately impact this team, I like the ability, I like the chances of them rounding out into form, just as they did in 2022 before Lamar went down, with Mike McDonald struggling out of the gate to adjust. I got to weigh in on some of the conversations surrounding this whole rivalry. Look, nobody out there actually thinks that Commanders Ravens is a rivalry, do we? Come on. No series that's only had a 7-game sample size over the years can be considered a rivalry. I get it. Geography-wise, this is going to be fun because for the first time in a minute, both teams are competitive simultaneously. And for the first time ever, both teams have electrifying quarterbacks. Still a long way to go for Jayden to be compared to Lamar, but he has been nothing short of electrifying through 5 weeks. But this is not a rivalry. I get it. It might be one of those fun things for those of you who are in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, and you have internal rivalries with family members and whatnot. But the Ravens lead the all-time series 4-3. In the John Harbaugh era, it's a tied series at 2 apiece. This is not a rivalry. It's just, I have a hard time when I see some of those tweets rolling around. I'm like, okay, I get it. There might be geographical ties, but the way that I personally define rivalry, and maybe everybody's different in terms of definitions, I refer to something as storied, with longevity, with iconic personalities. When we're talking about sports rivalries, it's got to be something that's balanced. Okay, this is balanced, but it's a 7-game sample size. So I can't get behind that. I hope this one goes well. Don't get me wrong. I can't wait to see what it's all about. Hopefully CBS gets what it's aiming for. Injury report. Let's get an update. I appreciate you guys for being with me tonight. Please like the video if you're enjoying the show. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. You can join the Bobby Baltimore Patreon community if you want to support the show and the channel and what I'm building for as little as $1.99 by clicking on the link that I have included in the show notes below. My guy Garnett just randomly cash apped me $40. What a guy. And it reminded me, if you guys want to throw a few bucks to show your appreciation, Venmo, Cash App, always great ways to do so. Garnett, I appreciate that, man. You're a good dude. And I'm always seeing your stuff. You're diehard. Absolutely love it. All right, share screen option. This came out when we were streaming, so I didn't have it readily available. But it is a lengthy list. This is looking rather lengthy. And I'm looking at it for the first time, as you are as well. Rasheen Ali, been a full participant, trying to ramp his way back up. 5th round rookie running back out of Marshall. Has not played yet this year in the regular season. Been a full participant so far last couple of days. Big Salah, new name on this list. 2nd-year tackle out of Oregon. He was a DNP with a back. He's a non-factor in terms of game day. Rashad Bateman with a groin. Good to see him upgraded after DNPing on Wednesday. He was limited today. Malik Harrison with a groin has been a DNP back-to-back days. Not looking great for him. We'll see what happens on Friday. Deontay Hardy, who was sort of a last-minute surprise last week, which thrust Tylan Wallace into a position for return specialist work. He's been upgraded to a full participant on Thursday after being limited Wednesday. Marlon Humphrey, good news there after leaving Cincinnati with that walking boot on and an ankle designation and a DNP on Wednesday. He was limited today. Charlie Kohler upgraded to a full participant today after being limited on Wednesday with a toe. Arthur Maulette, that soft tissue setback, that seems like a bummer. He's in the middle of that 21-day activation window. Remember, he had that arthroscopic knee procedure late summer. That's too bad, too, because he's one of those guys that you feel like could certainly contribute towards getting that secondary in shape. Solid nickel corner, hard-hitting player, AFC North specialist, DNP back-to-back days. Roger Rosengarten's been limited so far with ankle and hand designations back-to-back days. Ronnie Stanley upgraded from a DNP Wednesday to limited today with a toe. Andrew Voorhees, full participant both days this week, has missed back-to-back games with an ankle. He was also seen in a walking boot not all that long ago. And Broderick Washington with a knee has been a DNP Wednesday and Thursday so far, perhaps trending towards not being available on Sunday against the Commanders. So that is your list. We'll learn more, of course, tomorrow with the third and final practice designation. But not exactly the list that you want to see. But I do like the ways in which Rosengarten, Rashad, and Marlon all appear to be trending. And as far as the Washington uniforms, this is the Ravens uniforms. They're going purple on white, one of their classics, for 1 o'clock on CBS coming up on Sunday. And then the Washington injury report as of this afternoon. Let's see, anything notable here? Brian Robinson Jr., their running back, has been a DNP with a knee so far, back-to-back games. Back-to-back days. So that'll be something to watch. Their guard, Nick Allegretti, was limited today after a DNP on Wednesday. Who else sticks out here? Emmanuel Forbes is a recent draft pick at corner. He's been a full participant with a thumb. Let's see. Noah Brown, wide receiver, groin. He's been limited the last couple days. So Austin Eckler, he's an impact player for him with a heel, limited, then full today. So anyway, nothing like crazy notable about that, but we're going to get more on it tomorrow inside the vault for a Friday Ravens lunch hour live stream. I'm going to bring in my pal Grant Paulson, who covers everything about DC sports on 106.7 The Fan. So looking forward to that. Well, if you guys haven't already done so, I would love for you to connect with me in my Discord server. It's a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. It is free to join. It's not always going to be, so I would love for you to get in on it early. You can join by clicking on the link that I just dropped into the live chat right there. And if you haven't seen what it looks like in here, it's just a great way to hang out with different Baltimore like-minded fans. Talking football right here. Got a baseball section right here, of course. Orioles off season. I guess football as well. And then you get a welcome shout out. How many members we got in here now? Coming up on 600 members. So you got a suggestions box. It's fun. It's a cool little community that I hope to build, and maybe we can get to 1,000 by the end of the season. Well, with that, I appreciate you guys for being here. Please like the video on your way out. I know I didn't go the full hour today. I actually have a call coming up at 6 o'clock here and a few other things to do as well. So anyway, please like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. I appreciate you guys for coming out to all my various things that I do outside of here as well. Yesterday was a busy day. AFC North Roundtable at 6. The lunch break, hot take crew at 7:30. We talked for about 45 minutes, hashed a few things out. Like adults, and it was nice of you guys to participate in both of those things just to show support and whatnot. So then of course over on the vault, Sarah and I do daily content. If you haven't already checked that out, 12 noon Eastern, Monday through Friday, in live formatting. We've actually been trying something different. We've been pulling out clips for you to consume in like 10 to 15, 20 minutes. And it seems to be resonating with a lot of you all. So you can always hit us up with feedback at BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com if you're interested in learning more. But special thanks to Primary Residential Mortgage for continuing to support this channel, for continuing to support me. And if you want to get your home buying process started, click on that link to start your application today that I have pinned in the live chat. So with that, I'm going to run. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, Luke, it's easy to burn out this time of year. You probably see it in my face right now, but I'm actually okay. I might go and edit a few things outside, get ready for tomorrow. A little cigar on the back deck. It is literally beautiful out right now. The last stretch of days that we've been on been just tremendous of fall weather. It's crisp morning air. Makes me feel like I'm back home in upstate New York. But and then lastly, just because I got the Weather Channel on in the background, I know there's a ton of different Ravens flock members down in the Florida area. So best well wishes to you and yours. I hope you guys are doing okay. I know all my St. Pete, Port Charlotte, West Coast family members got the hell out of there and went to the East Coast. But I saw that Orlando was hit pretty hard. Obviously, in terms of the hurricane itself, Tampa, I think I saw tornado winds were down there. Sarasota, those areas, Fort Myers got hit, pretty significantly. So hopefully you and yours are doing okay, staying out of harm's way. And again, I just want to say thank you guys. Have a fantastic evening. Sarah and I will catch up with you at 12 noon Eastern tomorrow, if not before, barring something unforeseen. So until then, I'll catch you. I appreciate you for being here as always. I'll talk to you soon.